Hi, welcome back. In this series I'm going through the ITIL 4 practices individually, and I'm giving you the main headline points that you need to be aware of in order to help support your base ITIL 4 knowledge. As well, I'm going to be covering other real-world experience, first-hand experience, where I've worked in organisations and I've seen this happen first time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the bell, you'll get the updates and the information as I post it. Okay, so let's get to it. Today I'm going to be covering off business analysis, which is from the service management practice. There's 17 of those practices all together, and I'm just going to be focusing on the business analysis one today. Reminder about what a practice is. It's a set of organisational resources designed for performing work or for accomplishing an objective. So if we just kind of think around business analysis, so I've already mentioned it's part of the service management practice, and it can be both utility based and it can be warranty based. So what do I mean by that? So business analysis from a utility perspective can be looking at the functionality of a product or a service and making sure that it's meeting that need. Think of it as what the service does in order to be fit for purpose. Perhaps think functional requirements as a term. Warranty in the context of business analysis is the assurance that you're getting. Is it meeting that assurance? How does it perform? Is it fit for use? Again, think in practical terms around service level agreements, the availability, is it 99.9 or 99.99959s, for example, capacity based, the level of security or continuity. Think non-functional requirements and acceptance criteria. So ITIL 4 advises around the skills that are needed to be beneficial if you are a BA, a business analysis, and they do vary from organisation to organisation. And I've worked over 25 years in different organisations and worked with many BAs, and absolutely the skills are far and wide. But typically you're looking at critical thinking, you're looking at evaluation skills, being able to listen to people, being able to communicate to people. Facilitation, you may have lots of different business units or different areas that need to communicate together. Being able to analyse process documentation, look at processes, use cases, data analysis and data modelling. If I just think through some of the practical examples of where I've worked with BAs, they certainly in the last 10 years or so, there's a real commonality around working with developers and product owners, around user stories, defining acceptance criteria, working with those product owners, maybe designing customer journeys, digital experience, looking at user stories, the day-to-day on-hand work with a development team, carrying out different analysis, risk analysis, benefits, impacts, that kind of stuff. Documentation, from my experience, has been around working prototypes, support activities, post-implementation, once it's happened and it's gone into production, then what? Reuse, that kind of information once the project's been implemented. Very much agile based projects more recently, and being familiar with software development methodologies. As a broad and sweeping statement, there's a whole variety of analysis tools and techniques, and I'll touch on some of those as well. A common skill I've seen is having the ability to get people to collaborate, and I'll touch on that later as well. But just think about if you're performing business analysis over a business overall, you're going to be dealing with different organisational units, different priorities, different objectives, and in some cases, some of those organisational units may need to give a little in order to deliver a final product or a final solution. So let's get down to the purpose. In the context of ITIL 4, ITIL 4 advises the purpose of the business analysis practice is to analyse a business or some element of it, define its associated needs, and recommend solutions to address these needs and or solve a business problem which must facilitate value creation for stakeholders. Business analysis enables an organisation to communicate its needs in a meaningful way, express the rationale for change, and design and describe solutions that enable value creation in alignment with the organisation's objectives. So, generally speaking, analysis and solutions have to be looked at in a holistic approach. So I say broad and sweeping. I mean, this is a principle of doing something. In the context of ITIL 4, the word holistic quite nicely fits into one of those guiding principles where it talks about, look, as a general principle, as we go into ITIL 4, think and work holistically. And that's so true in the business analysis world. So consider a holistic way that includes all of the processes, change, technology, information, policy, strategic planning, work that a business analysis, it needs to be holistic in nature. In IT, business analysis practices are applied in the software development projects quite often, but they can also aim at a higher kind of level in terms of architecture, services, and the service value system in general. So the service value system, think about that for a second. So you've got your guiding principles. We covered one of those a moment ago around holistic, think and work holistically. But I suppose the point here is it's not just about software development projects. It fits very nicely into the organisation's service value system. So you would have guiding principles, you would have governance, you would have mapping and process mapping through that service value chain, you would have all of the various practices. There's 34 different practices that would cover general management, service management, technical management, and then that continual improvement activity. So don't always think, which I think the tendency is that this is just a development activity. No, think bigger picture, think holistically. ITIL talks about 5 key activities when we talk about business analysis, and I always remember this using the acronym READ-I, R-E-A-D-I, recommending, evaluating, analysing, documenting, and identifying. So recommending solutions following the analysis. So you've gathered information, you've gathered the requirements, and then you're validating these with your customers, with your stakeholders. The evaluating piece is about evaluating and proposing actions that can be taken to do it, to create it, to achieve that desired improvement, whatever that may be. It could be a product, could be a service. It's not also just IT changes as well. It can be perhaps process, it can be an organisational structure, somehow it could be training maybe, or bringing people on, or mentoring, development of staff. The A is analysing business systems, analysing business processes, analysing services, analysing the architecture. and looking at that again in a holistic approach. Look at it internally and look at it externally as well. Who are all the players within that? The documentation part is documenting the requirements. What is needed? What are you actually trying to achieve to get those improvements? And then the identifying stage is also prioritizing, looking at the service value system within ITIL for guiding principles, governance, service value chain, practices, continual improvement, all coming out to deliver value, and products and services that of some kind will need an improvement activity. It also opens up the opportunity for perhaps some blue sky thinking, perhaps some, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? However silly this may sound, what happens if we did that? It's that innovation, it's that entrepreneurial element. Okay, let's talk about presenting the results, methods and techniques. Going back a step, if I was to say what is a business analysis model, the best way to describe that would be it's about outlining steps a business would take in order to complete a process of some kind. Now that process could be as simple as ordering a product, or perhaps it could be a new recruit has joined the organisation. You need to go through the various steps of onboarding them, inducting them, getting them up to speed. Process modelling, so mapping, read mapping into that. It's all about improving efficiency. It can help with training. Certainly in a lot of industries I've worked in, which have been regulated industry, it's a requirement that you have these activities underway and you can demonstrate them and you can prove them. So when we think about visual modelling or mapping tools, it doesn't need to be complex terminology particularly. Just think your normal office productivity tools you have on your computer. So they may be a word processing application of some kind, or a presentation slide deck tool, or a spreadsheet, or perhaps even other specialist tools that are available in the market. So again, just if I think through from a real world experience, when we talk about tools and techniques, the way I like to think about that is, and these are approaches and tools and techniques that I've come across. There's mind maps, there's activity diagrams, there's product roadmaps, there's an approach using an organisational hierarchy, SWOT analysis I've seen quite often. So you're looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. The SWOT analysis, user interface, wireframe, process flows, PESTLE analysis. So you remember that, going back to the 4 dimensions of ITIL. So the PESTLE, so you look at political, economical, social, technological, legal, environmental factors, all which affect and impact organisations, the people, the technology, the information, your suppliers and partners, as well as your processes and your value streams. And then also I've come across entity relationship diagrams as well. So really, just as we come to the end, really, the parting thoughts really to discuss would be around, if we look at the service value chain, which is part of the service value system right at the centre. As with a lot of practices, business analysis is involved in all of the activities, but there's a particular nod to plan, engage, design and transition, and obtain and build. Those are areas that there would be quite a lot of energy and quite a lot of effort in more so than the others. And then my I suppose sort of 4 or 5 parting thoughts for you to ponder on is do think and do work holistically. It's a principle of ITIL 4, so that works really well, but I can't overestimate the importance of thinking and working holistically. Don't do analysis for the sake of it. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Is this actually creating value, this piece of work I'm doing at the moment? Is it going to produce an action of some kind? You can easily get distracted and try and take on too much, and then you deliver nothing. Keep the scope tight, keep it agreed, keep it clear. Watch out for scope creep, as in with any project or any piece of work. Just make sure it doesn't get wildly out of control. Typically, my experience has been BAs span over the entire organisation, over different countries, different business units, different organisational units, different continents. And this part of that skill for a BA is definitely about getting different parts of a business to talk to each other and to collaborate. There's a difference between cooperation and collaboration. I think collaboration is harder to achieve than cooperation. So the emphasis I would put here is around the collaboration mentality. Some organisation units may need to give a little in order to deliver the final solution. So my point there really is around bring about a collaborative mentality. And then finally, the role of the BA, the business analyst. It requires not only a sound data analysis skill set, and it also needs effective data modelling skills. The right visual models, the right streamlines, it makes it easier for your customer, for your stakeholder to identify and to understand the project strategy and the relationship and the responsibilities. So that's it. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to continue to get updates, and I will continue to post. Thank you.